So today I'm going to be talking about my first TLM experience as a Catholic who's never been to a Latin Mass before. And I am a cradle Catholic, but I've only ever known the Norvis Ordo. I haven't been to any other liturgy at all. So once I really started to get serious about my faith and learn about Catholicism and all of that, I saw a lot of videos talking about the Latin Mass. And so of course I got curious about what is this liturgy all about? And they say it's so different. So I wanted to see it for myself and just kind of experience it. They do have a church here in Toronto that does do the Latin Mass. And so I did attend because I know there's different types. There's like the low Mass and then high Mass and all of that. So I did the Psalm High Mass. So that's the one that I went to and I got to experience. So I'm going to tell you guys about my experience as someone who's never been to the Latin Mass before. And yes, it is very different than the Norvis Ordo that I've been used to and accustomed to. Because I knew it was going to be different, I wanted to sit in the back so that, I pay attention to what everyone's doing. I basically kind of felt like a new Catholic who goes to Mass for the first time because they don't know what they're doing and they want to just follow along. So I tried to sit in the back and I did not pick a good spot at all. There was these two really tall guys in front of me and I just really couldn't see too much of what was happening at the front. And so I was always trying to go to one side and go to the other side because I was obviously curious. I was there to see what the Mass was like. But the experience overall was good, so we'll talk about that. Well, of course, the most obvious thing that was different was the fact that it was all in Latin and that it wasn't spoken in English, which is what I'm used to. So that, of course, was very, very different. I did not have any prayer book to follow along with. They did have books there in the pews, but I wasn't close to one. They're very tight. The pews were very, very tight. And besides, I don't know any Latin, so I wouldn't be able to say it even if I wanted to. So I was just quiet. Everyone was reciting back in Latin and things, but I just was quiet the whole time and just kind of really observing. So one thing that was very interesting and different was that a lot of it was sung. And honestly, the music was really, really nice. I enjoyed the music. And then, of course, one thing that I figured was going to happen was that there's going to be a lot of people who veil. And obviously that's very common in the Latin Mass. Basically, I was a little bit worried that I was going to stick out because I thought I was going to be the only one not veiling, but that actually wasn't the case. So most people, I guess, were, most women did have veils on, but there were definitely a lot of women also who didn't have veils. So anyways, I didn't go with a veil because I don't own one. I've never veiled before. Not that I'm against it, by the way. I'm not against it. I actually think it looks really beautiful, but I've just never done it. And I've never felt like God's ever put it on my heart to do it. Anyways, I was worried that I was going to be the only one. And that was not the case. Most people were, but not everyone was. Now, in terms of clothing and dresses and stuff, I would say most people were dressed really nice, which was nice to see because, nowadays, a lot of people don't get really dressed up for Sundays like they used to in the past. When we were little kids, my mom would always be like, you need to put on your Sunday clothes, and people actually put an effort into dressing for church. And I feel like we lost that over the years. And at this TLM, I feel like most people were dressed really nice. And they really tried. The guys were in suits, the girls were in dresses. So I actually really liked that. I liked the fact that people were actually trying to dress up nicely for church, which is something that I feel like we've lost, and then something that you don't really see too much of anymore. That shouldn't stop you from going to church, because for some people, they don't like the idea of having to dress up. At the end of the day, you going there is the most important thing. But I do think that it is nice and that we should put some effort into wearing nice clothes to Sunday for Mass because you are going to go see God. So you should want to put in some effort into how you look. But at the same time, if getting to Mass means not wearing nice clothes, then it is what it is, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, Jesus just wants you there. Another thing that was very interesting and so cute. So their altar boys, so there's the priests, then there's other priests and deacons, and I think I could be wrong, but there was a lot of them. And also the altar boys, there were so many of them. I think there was 6. And it was interesting. It was from oldest to youngest. And just seeing those little tiny boys in the altar boy outfits was just the cutest thing ever. I had never seen that before. I'm used to just seeing 1 or 2. And this was literally 6 of them. And yeah, just the little ones. Kids are so cute. And it was just so cute seeing them in the outfits. Lots of incense and holy water, which is stuff you still see at the Norvis Ordo, obviously. But I guess it was just a lot more, and the whole church smelled like incense. That was cool. And it was definitely longer. Usually Mass is about an hour or so. This one was a good hour and a half for sure. So it was a little bit longer than your typical mass, but not like anything dramatically different. At this church in particular, it was really busy. It was really full, which was nice to see. And I could tell like they were really had like a tight community. It was nice to see just like a packed place with like where you could tell like the community is really good. Overall, I would say my experience was really good overall, and I did like it. Okay, so outside of the veiling, the other thing that I was thinking about a lot is how to receive communion, right? The communion was definitely different than what I'm used to at the Novus Ordo. At the Novus Ordo, anyone can receive hand or tongue, it doesn't matter, right? And usually for the most part, you're receiving standing up, even if it is receiving by hand or by tongue. There are sometimes people that will kneel, but for the most part, that's what I've always seen and what I've always been used to. Now, going to the Latin Mass, I figured that most people would be receiving on the tongue. So I was correct. Like the communion experience was very different. And that's because I've just like never seen it done that way. So basically what happened was we all got up, right? Started getting in line to go receive communion. I was finally able to see the front really well at this point. And so it had like a railing all across. And depending on what section you were, you would take turns and you would go and kneel, and you would kneel up into the railing basically. And then everyone was receiving by tongue, right? And so the priest would go by, and there was like multiple priests, I believe. And there was always someone like by him who was holding like the plate. I don't know what it's called, but holding the plate underneath you. That's how it was. Like everyone received that way. There was absolutely no one receiving in the hand. This was just protocol. Like everyone goes, you kneel, and you receive by tongue. So of course I did the same thing, and I really liked it. So me personally, because I'm so used to always receiving by the hand, that's what I was just used to. I was not used to receiving on the tongue. But I had a feeling that going to the Latin Mass, that's probably what I was going to do, and that's what I did. I actually really liked this whole like rail thing and like kneeling and all of that. So the communion experience to me was the best part, and I really enjoyed it. Now, does this mean that I'm only going to receive on the tongue now? I receive both ways, and I don't see a problem in that. So I'm just going to receive how I want to receive the Lord. And it's still something that I'm thinking about more and more and more, just because I really did like that experience. I know for my first communion, because I have pictures of like my first communion, I know that I received by tongue, but standing, not kneeling. So it's not like I've never done it before. I just didn't really have a memory of doing it as an adult. I don't remember my first communion, if I'm being honest. So I've always just remembered receiving on the hand, not on the tongue. And I know I'm rambling on and on about this because I know a lot of people have this debate about one way is right, one way is wrong, and one way is better, one way is whatever. I just honestly think as long as you are doing it reverently, as long as you're thinking about the Lord and you're treating Him reverently, that's all that really matters. So I do think both ways are perfectly fine. But yes, I did enjoy that experience that I had at the Latin Mass of communion. Like I just really loved that's how everyone did it, and it was just something so different and foreign for me. So I did enjoy that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I just want to get the Eucharist. At the end of the day, I just want Jesus. If the Lord is asking me to do it one specific way, then I will do that. I know that both are valid. That's what the church says. So I know that at the end of the day, it doesn't truly matter in terms of like how I receive Christ. As long as I'm receiving Christ reverently, that is the most important thing. All right. So now that I talked about pretty much how it's different, what was happening, and what I liked, now I want to talk about what I didn't like. Honestly, the only thing I really didn't enjoy, I didn't really feel like I was participating in the Mass because I wasn't really following along because it wasn't in the language that I understood. I felt like I couldn't really participate in the Mass. Oh yeah, I forgot. So he did speak English only for one small part, which was the homily. So he did do the homily in English, so that was nice to understand the homily. But the rest of the Mass, like I wasn't really following along because I didn't really know where we were in the Mass. So I didn't really like that. At the end of the day, because it was in Latin and not in English, it was hard for me. It was really hard for me to participate. It was hard for me to really understand what was happening. Where are we? Like I was kind of lost. Basically, I would prefer to go to a Mass that is in English, a language that I understand, simply because I'm able to participate. I like being able to sing along and to speak back to with our responses. So I wasn't really able to do all of that. So overall, I did like the experience. I thought it was really nice, something different, something that I'm not really used to. Now, you're probably thinking, well, does that mean that you're only going to go to Latin Mass and stop going to the Novus Ordo? And the answer to that is no, I'm not going to stop going to the Novus Ordo. At the end of the day, I really enjoy going to my parish. I really like my priest. So I don't see myself ever leaving my parish to go to like a Latin Mass instead, because I do still like the Novus Ordo, and it is a parish where I feel like I'm being nourished spiritually, and that's the most important thing. Like, you should be going to the Mass in the church that you feel like you're being nourished in, and it's bringing you closer to Jesus. I really enjoy my parish, and I really enjoy being able to understand and participate in the Mass and all of those things, which I can't really do at the TLM. And at the end of the day, one liturgy is not better than the other. All Catholics should be able to go to the liturgy that they want to go to. I'm going to continue going to my regular church, but I am glad that I got to experience the Latin Mass, and I did like it. I might go to a TLM every once in a while because I did enjoy it. It was nice. But yeah, I'm going to stick to what I know. And obviously, every Novus Ordo is also very different. Like, there are people who actually follow the rubrics of the liturgy, and then there are other parishes that do not. And some are more reverent than others. So you're going to see different types out there. But yeah, it was just to kind of experience all the different ways that as a Catholic you can experience the Mass. So I just thought it was interesting to check out and just see how it's like. And so I'll probably do the same with the Byzantine church. I would like to visit one as well. So yeah, today's video is gonna be pretty short, just kind of my experience of going to the Latin Mass for the first time. And this video is not to like start any kind of wars, because I know online there's lots of wars between like the Latin Mass versus Novus Ordo and all this stuff. That is not what this is supposed to be about. I just simply wanted to check it out because I was just curious of what the Mass was like, and I'm glad I got to experience it. Every Catholic should go to the Mass that brings them closer to God, that they enjoy, that they can participate in, and all of that. That is it from me, guys. I hope you guys all have an amazing day. See you guys in the next video, and God bless.